Hi, everybody. I don't know how many people are in the room with me. Let's see, attendees. Okay. Hi, can everybody, I'm hoping that everybody can hear me. I'm waiting for Rick to join us. We had some technical issues with our last webinar, and we're just waiting for him to get off that webinar to join us here. So I just wanted to let you know I sent an email, but it might have gotten into your spam because it comes directly from Zoom. So if you give him a few more minutes, he said 7:25. So right now it's 7:17, and we have 20 people here. We have 46 registered, so that gives some time for the other 26 to join us. So if you can just hang out, if you want to go get, a smoothie or a cup of coffee, go ahead. You got a few minutes, and we'll see you back at 7:25. But I am going to leave my screen logo up so you guys know that I'm still here. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rosie, it's okay.
Okay. But just so you know, there's how many people are there? There's 23 right now, and some people just hung up and they're going to come back.
You tell them to come back. Well, we've got 23 there. Let's see. And they can't put their screens on. Okay. Can you make sure, Rosie, they can't put screens on or?
No, just so everybody, we had some technical difficulty, it's an understatement, with the last Zoom call, so which kind of pushed us back. So we switched this over to a webinar, and that way Rick can explain and also show you from his desktop what he's going to show you with script writing. Anyway, that's it.
All right.
So you can type in a question in the Q&A box, and Rick and I will see it. If it's, if it's the same answer for like 5 of them, he's just going to answer one of them, or I'll answer one of them. And so don't take it personally if we don't answer yours. And please type in English. I thought somebody had typed in Spanish, and that's it. Oh, hi, Vicki. I see Vicki Thomas is here.
Okay, everyone, Vicki Thomas here. Can you guys, Vicki, can you hear me? Okay. Okay.
We just go like that for a second. Okay, there.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Okay, just hold on 1 second.
Does everybody have time to go get a glass of wine?
Okay.
Because this is.
Everybody that like it could happen again, but.
Okay, is anyone getting an echo? Do I need to put my headset on?
No echo. I'm not.
Gotta tell.
Can I tell everybody what happened? But just for the record, I actually heard from another person that this is happening a lot. That these Zoom meetings and live meetings are being intercepted. So we can do what we can to just keep our end clean and tight with our Zoom by giving passwords and turning down some features, unfortunately. So we're gonna just make this interactive, but very down to the minimal, unfortunately. But that's it.
Yeah. What happened was, for those who are listening in, Elizabeth, there's a less echo now, or it's still no echo? Good. What happened basically, because I was we're doing Latino Thought Makers with Eddie Olmos, and I thought it was important because really, I've known Eddie for years and I respect him. But more importantly than that, I think when people really need reassurance, they need people who care. And to me, a second, I'm wondering which is, it sounds best. Okay, to me, I think it's a time we need to be together. And even though we've missed out on the physical, we still have the mental, and we still have the spirit. And this form of Zoom, and until I was hacked, this platform is interesting because this is also an explanation of who we are. In the times, we bring out the best in us or the worst. So whatever is in you, this is going to come out. I always say the office of the president makes the man. I don't believe that's true. I think the office of the president reveals the man. And in these times, we're all going to be revealed. We're going to be who we really are. And that's, what is an important thing to do. Evaluate ourselves. I heard it happen at USC, all these different things. Right now, everyone's, Momo says he was hacked by Emilio Rivera, but it's good to hear that, Momo. I have to tell you, Momo's a good comedian, and I've known him forever. Uh, and he always makes me laugh. He just always makes me laugh. So, what we want to talk about the writing process is I wanted to talk about the demystification of writing. The reason I say that is a lot of times when people approach writing, they're terrified. You know, just the idea of writing. I mean, I understand. I was flunked in kindergarten, so my educational career started off with a horrible halt. I basically had the COVID-19 of kindergartners and got flunked. And so I looked at academia and learning and writing and all that stuff as something bad and not for me. But what I realized uh, is that I have to laugh at this whole thing. This is what's happening. First of all, I'm watching a chat. People are chatting me. I've heard this from Momo Rodriguez. Momo, this is for you. I've heard comedians being called a hack, but never hacked. So, yes, Momo, we were hacked. So getting back to this.
I don't think Mama's on this one though.
Is that looking at time is that we have free time on our hands, which is amazing to me because always been our excuses when we think about it was always like, oh, I never have enough time. I've only done this. If I ever could have done that or whatever it was, you now have the time. If you sat there and said, if only at the time I'd write a pilot, if only at the time I'd write a monologue, if only that happened and I had the time for it, would I be able to do those things? Well, it looks like, you know, basically Mother Nature gave you time. This virus gave you time. You're self isolated or you're in self quarantine. I don't think this is going to be away in 2 weeks before Easter. Call me wrong, but I think it's going to happen. So that being said, what makes people feel out of control and out of place is not having a vision, not having a plan. So as a writer, what happens is you are the plan, you're the vision, you're the one who hears the voice, writes it down, does all those things. You are the person who is that. You are the conduit. The conduit because I really think of writing as something, it's a very spiritual thing. It's a reflective thing. It's something that's active because it's communication. I was just telling recently that they found a cave with paintings of horses, and they're beautiful. These beautiful paintings, and people sat there and looked and said, "Why are they painting the horses? What does it mean? Is it a religious significance? Is it all things?" And I said, and I thought about it. And the author brought this up. They're speaking to us. Horse painted on a wall thousands of years ago is speaking to a modern person today because we both agree horse is, and we see it. And whether they wrote horse or caballo or whatever wrote horse in, I've now seen a horse and I understand. They were speaking to me from millennia. Writers, when you tell your story, speak to all of these different people. And some need to hear your voice, need to hear what you're thinking, and some need to hear what you're saying. So first of all, I tell people to do a writing class. Say one thing. And I'm gonna do this to everyone out here in this land. I want you to say your name and say, I am a writer. Introduce yourself as a writer. So I'll try. I'm Rick Najera, and I am a writer. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll give it a beat. I'm going to give it a moment. Say your now, and next say, I'm a writer.
I'm a writer.
Now, I didn't tell you to say, I'm Rick Najera, I'm a critically acclaimed writer. I'm Rick Najera, I'm a famous writer. I'm Rick Najera, I'm a brilliant writer. I'm Rick Najera, I said nothing. I'm a writer. That's what you're doing. So when you start off with course and you look at it, you need to say, I'm a writer. And I'll tell you why you can say that. You've been writing all your entire life. You've read books. A lot of times actors look at themselves and go, how can I be a writer? And I can go, out of curiosity, Mr. or Miss Actor, have you read Eugene O'Neill? Yeah. Have you read Shakespeare? Arthur Miller? You know, have you read great plays? Have you seen great musicals? Have you heard great dialogue? Now they estimate that people spend between 8 hours a day on media, see television, radio, whatever it is. So they're hearing prepared written dialogue, prepared written words that are sent out into the media, and you hear that. So what happens is you have that ability. You're a writer. You've already been writing. You've already been practicing words, especially actors. You know, I all the time. Oh, I'm an actor. I'm not a writer. Really? You know how many writers I've met that call themselves who have never written anything? How many times you met an actor who says, I'm an actor? And you'll ask, what have you done? Well, I did a Payday commercial about 2 years ago. It was a national. And I did this, and I was in an equity waiver theater. Great pride, they will tell you their acting accomplishments. They may not be much, but to them, they're an actor. I'm asking everyone, when they approach their writing, to call yourself a writer. Allow that, to call yourself a writer, because you have a different expectation of what your writing should be. Now let's look at writing, what it means. I think that writing, not only is it communicating who you are and your existence and why you want to say something. I believe writing is a reflection of all of us. It's all of our us. There is, the Mayans have said the word in Lakesh. It was an expression Mayans used, meaning our other. You are my other self, in Lakesh. You are my other being. You are me. One. And if you go, even take that and go look at this Mayan spirituality, you say, okay, what about Christian spirituality? The greatest commandment that Jesus has asked, what is the greatest commandment? Love your neighbor as you love yourself and love your God. That's it. So we're talking that writing is an act of love. It's an act of saying who you are. It's an act of talking about yourself. It's an act of reaching out and writing. It goes back to the beginning of us around the fireplace telling stories. That's what this is, telling stories. Now, as a writer, we can talk about, this is sitcom style, this is monologue style, this is the other styles, to understand the style we look at. But let's look at the biggest lie of writing. You hear it at the end of every story. There's two things at play here. They lived happily ever after. We always hear that. They lived happily ever after. And I thought about that one time. When I was a kid, I saw O.J. Simpson and I was quite impressed. Wow, a great athlete. Did he live happily ever after? Because cut 2 years later, I'm watching a man in a white Bronco with a gun to his head, and I'm thinking that happily ever after. We like completion as people, as human beings. We like end of story, end. Why does Shakespeare end with mostly a wedding? Happening. This is great. We're going to get married. The lovers meet. All this wonderful. Let's end it with a party, a wedding, a celebration, if you will, of life. That is most every end of a story. Now, when you look at it and you go, okay, that is not a lie of what fiction is, because not everyone lives happily ever, but it is the hope of it. Let's go back to the word hope. When you look at hope, to be a writer is to be a child. To be an actor is to be a child. To be any art tends to be a child, and I'll tell you why. Immediately play the game. Immediately, in improv, we'll talk about the game. What's the game? What's at stake? What are the rules? All that stuff. If you look at a child playing, they'll sit there and say, tag, you're it. Who said I'm it? Is it a legal, NATO binding resolution that I am it? Will the Supreme Court agree that I am it? All that goes, I'm it. Okay, tag someone else. You're it. No, I'm not. You're it. I'm in the safe zone. It's weird. This is the safety area. Or hey, I put on an invisible cloak. You can't see me. And the child goes, oh yeah, I can't see you. Where are you? It's continually saying yes to an idea. It's the use and the practice of saying yes. It's almost like improv. Improv basically says, look at that ship. Is it a big ship? Yes, it is. Is it about to land? Yes, it's going to land. Who's on the ship? Pirates. There are pirates on that ship. Everything is yes, yes, yes. Nothing is no. Look at that. It's not a big ship. Well, it's huge to me. It's a big ship. No, it's not. It's right there. See it? No, I don't. It's no. The negative negates. The negative stops. So when we're talking this course, what I wanted to do is demystify and get people out of the thinking that you're the result. This is the process. The result is you're a great writer, read your books, are you a great showrunner, a producer, loved your screenplay, all stuff. That's the result. That result comes with work. And better than that, it comes play. More so than work, play. Our first initial ideas as writers should be playful. It should be the idea we're thinking of. It should be fun. Now, it doesn't even mean drama. It could be a lot of different things, but still, it's that joining into the action of working, where you're learning something to do and you're involved and all that stuff. It's playing, creativity. And I can go back and I'll bring this not to be too spiritual or whatever, but I believe there's answers in every book. And I just know, I remember as a child reading the Bible, and it said man was created in the image of God. In the image of God, he created. That's basically put it down to God is a creative being. God creates man in image or her image of God, whatever that entity is. We're created in that image. We're a creation, and that person, God, who created us, is a creator as well. We create. There's nothing more natural than writing, nothing at all. It's simply putting a story, putting your words down in place. That's really what it is. It's putting your words down in place. And the more you get lessened of scared. Remember, I start off in writing. I've written shows like in Match Living Color, East Los High for Hulu, screenplays. I just finished one for Melissa Joan Hart. And I have to say, the only reason I can call myself a professional writer, besides the writer's deals and all that, is that I know if someone asks me to write a story, I will find one. I will find a story. And every one of you has that ability to find that story. You know, I looked and I said a lot of times, my father once asked him, I said, why'd you come to America? Why'd you cross the border? And he said, I didn't cross the border crossed me. When I crossed over, there wasn't a border. It's true. It came from New Mexico, which was a territory at the time. It wasn't even a state. And you think about that. This is how history. And I wish he was around. I could ask them those questions. And I think of my father who was in World War II and Vietnam, and I think of my brothers, and I think of all the interesting, fascinating people I've met. And I didn't want them around to keep asking questions. What was this like? Do you remember this? How'd you feel? What'd you think? And that is the beginning of writing, because it's a curiosity. It's a curiosity. What were they thinking? Were they scared? What did they want? Did they want to kill someone? Did they want to torture someone? Did he want to abuse someone? This is what is a story? And that story, in the retelling story, is the push of the plot. So we have the creativity and then the push the plot. The plot of every story is basically beginning, middle, and end. Most of the time, it's that. Beginning, middle, and end. If you look at almost every story, it's that. Beginning, mid, end. A beginning, this is where it starts. And, you know, you can also look, that happens in conversations. Oh, how are you? I'm Rick. This is, oh, Rick, tell me about yourself. This is what I'm doing. What are you doing here? I'm doing that. Very much a conversation, but isn't a conversation merely a story, but smaller? Let's take it further to another idea. Let's sit there and say what a monologue is a monologue is a story. Monologue is the beginning. Here comes the dialogue. Hello, how are you? It's a monologue. I could sit there and do Mark Anthony and say, you know, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Stop them and stand there. That's the introduction. That's a monologue. You can follow them and see it. The monologues in classical theater, like the Shakespeare theater, classical work, tends to be three people they're speaking to. One is themselves. Say Hamlet, oh, in peasant slave am I. Oh, is it not monstrous that this player here, in a dream of passion, could force a soul that from his working all his visage wand, visage meaning face. Hamlet's looking at the actor and going, how can this man act and be so upset where I should really be upset. So he's talking to himself. And then he's talking to God. You know, he's talking to God. He's saying, you know, is it not God? Is it not monsters? He's talking to people. Am I a coward? He's asking the crowd. Am I a coward? So you have three people you're talking. You're talking to yourself, you're talking to God or an entity above, talking to the crowd. Three people. Many times as writers, we're going to talk about, we want people to write with many layers. If you're a great chef, then writing with many layers is really about building flavors, building flavor combinations, things like that. So in a lot of ways, writing is you're building the story. It can start with a monologue. Let's add another aspect to it. Now add dialogue. Someone actually comes in here and speaks, you know, if I'm Romeo, but soft, but light through yonder is the east and Juliet is the sun. He's talking. He's talking to someone, the audience, God, whatever. Eventually he's in the scene. Juliet comes in and he talks to Juliet. Now we have a scene. That scene leads to a series of scenes to an act break. Say Juliet, the act break, I think is when Romeo and Juliet decide to get married. No matter what happens. And then you start to see the complications happen. Oh my God, found someone he loves. You could hope this will cure Verona, Capulets, and the Montague. Oh, this will be great. No more fighting, all that stuff. Up, we have a problem. Family 102 to marry. They decide to get married on their own. Now more complications. Prior that they know, hey, will you help us? I have an idea. Let's have you look like you're dead. Family will see this as a great thing when you come alive again, and everything will be cured. Everything will be fine. I'm paraphrasing some of this Romeo and Juliet story. It's been a while. I was 17. But what I remember are these sort of things. Those are complications. Complications going from monologue to dialogue to scene to act break to more complications, more problems to finally the resolution. The resolution at the end of this, you know, the prince comes in, stops his fighting, sees Romeo and Juliet, and says there'll be consequences. But there's no sadder tale ever told in the story of Romeo and Juliet. Paraphrasing the very end, but that's really what he's saying. So do you see the thing? So if you start taking apart writing and almost think of it as a physical thing, I'm saying per monologue, who's the monologue to? God, yourself, the groundlings, people, whatever it is, it's dialogue. Next, add an actor to the scene, dialogue, because that scene leads to another scene, leads to another scene, leads to another scene, to an act break. Act breaks tended to be, for most people throughout history, P.T. Barnum said it best, I am the ability of a human bladder. Basically, eventually you got to stop to give people a chance to go out. All the way back in the Broadway days when I had a show on Broadway, the owner of the theater insisted on an intermission because he could sell snacks. And that's really what TV, insisting on an intermission so they can sell advertising and do that. So that's why time becomes important in us. That's the artificial thing that we add as humans. I'm saying we need a break. First act, then we have second act, and we have a third act, depending on the structure. So in this course, I want to talk about a little bit structures and things like that, and give you a moment now to ask me some questions. So you want to, Rosie, can we go to the chat part?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so here I am. I'm looking out here.
Let's see, you should
okay.
be able to also, someone has an echo. Hi, Yvonne. Let's see, anybody have any writing questions? I see feedback stuff, echo stuff. So far, there's no questions.
No questions so far. Everyone okay? Thanks. Great. Great. Okay. So, yeah. Yvonne Hanks, I saw the hacking you. Yeah. You may never want to, you may want to put that out of your mind. So basically that's what we're talking about in terms of acting. It's something that they're missing a lot of words I'm saying. Is that true? Because this is a thing for a lot of us. Can everyone hear what I'm saying? Or is there a delay?
There's a little bit of a delay on my part, but it seems to be going okay with most people, it looks like. Talk more about layers,
Okay.
please. Why is writing so painful sometimes?
Okay.
Keep going.
Let's talk about layers, please. All right, Kate. Life is layers. Writing should be a reflection of life. A lot of times as writers, you're trying to put together your dialogue that you've heard, actually. We're a computer that's open 24/7. We're taking in things and we're hearing things. One time someone goes, how do you come up with the best dialogue you've ever come up with? And I have to say, it comes from life. I'm not a great writer. I'm a great listener. Here's a story. I was in Chicago doing Latino Logs, the show, and we were trying to bring people out to the show and come. And it was actually a bomb. You know, this is a great thing about an artist. You have to fail, succeed, guaranteed. Because if you don't fail now, you eventually will fail. So better to get all the failure out early than later on. Later on hurts a lot more. So I'm going to produce the show and I'm trying to get people to go. So an actor, Jacob Vargas, we go to a bar, and at the bar they have a thing called Fight Night. I know nothing about this. We're new to Chicago. They basically put a ring, boxing ring in the middle of the bar. And they have them come on stage, they're in the audience, and they get to fight, and they win $100. And I heard a woman in the ring to fight. She says this, and if someone said, hey, I need a really answer right now, I need some ghetto dialogue, give me something dark. I may not come up with it, but this woman did. She says, hey, hold my drink, bitch. Don't hit me in the stomach because I'm pregnant. And she gets in and fights for $100. Oh, bitch, don't hit me in the stomach because I'm pregnant. There's so many things wrong with that dialogue that we can unpack here. She's pregnant, she's drinking, and she's in a fight for $100. All, to me, that was perfect dialogue. So a lot of times it's going to come from what you hear is basically you're hearing life. Life itself is very layered. You're trying to recreate that. You want to look at writers, and I go, sometimes some of the best, greatest writers, their lives, if you read their lives, are amazing. I mean, you go, wow, you know, Hemingway, people like Shakespeare, you can name it, who had amazing lives. There came from that. As reflected. I'm not saying for writers, you know, go become a heroin addict and you'll end up being a writer and go in the streets. No, nothing at all. Writing is imagination. Writing is listening. So what I tell people is listen for the dialogue. Write the dialogue down. Hear the dialogue. A lot of times as a writer, when I'm on the treadmill just watching shows, I'm already putting in the head of the dialogue because I know it's going to come. I know the plot points are about to happen. I know that things are happening. The trick is to not show your work. Do not show your process. It should see, when you see a cat walk on stage, and I've used this analogy, everyone stops. Oh my God, it's a cat. What's the cat doing there? It's a cat. Now people go, oh, because the cat shouldn't belong. No, I believe the cat is alive. The cat has a desire. The cat has a wish that is on there. He's doing something. He can't do nothing but be a cat. Actor, you can't be nothing but be the character. It's not saying forget yourself, because your character is your costume you put on, but you still use yourself to interpret the character. So the same thing with writing. Use yourself to interpret the writing. Hear the voice. Write down what you hear. The rewrite is the second part. Right now, we're dealing with the emphasis or the inspiration to write. We can talk about different parts because it's a style. Just like, you know, if you look at someone saying cook a meal, if you're a chef, you understand. Well, I'm gonna put great olive oil down there, and I'm gonna add sliced garlic, and I'm gonna let the garlic olive oil fuse together, and it'll be great. And then I'm gonna add some onions after that to kind of build the flavor. And then, oh, you know something? I'm gonna add this to it. We need mushrooms. Now, mushrooms should be not too mushy, kind of almost al dente, perfect. You just get the flavor. Add that, then add this. You're building a flavor profile until you have finally spaghetti sauce. All that is building. Same thing in writing. You're building it. You're building it. You're building it. And the more truthful you are, the more real you are, the more the answer comes out. Now, I told you guys earlier on, I had dyslexia. I was a kid. I was flunked in school. So how does a guy with dyslexia who can't really literally see words that other people can, you know, end up being a writer? I've been in the writer guild nearly 30 years or something like that, some amazing amount. I forget how much. Basically, I can retire. Got the Writers Guild. I've got a play on Broadway. I've had TV. I've done all these things. And I'll tell you the first one, I am part of the answer in your writing career. I'm one of the people you're going to grab as much knowledge from, and you're going to put it to yourself, because in the end, you're the artist. It's not me. You're the interpretation I need to hear. You're the voice I need to hear. It's you, no one else but you. And the more you're clear to yourself, and the more you say your voice, the more you're truthful, the more that voice resonates. And it's odd because you'll have it happen. I can dare you to. Today, hear someone talk, and you will hear the part in that voice that's real. You will hear the part in that voice that makes sense. Just like I saw that woman saying, you know, hit me in the stomach and all that sort of stuff. I knew that was totally real. She meant it. There was no fakeness to it. She was not acting. It was all the truth. So when we have this world, we want to tell the truth. We want to tell our story. So for your inspiration is more of finding that story that you want to tell. And what I'm trying to tell you now is you have far more stories in you, and far more stories that need to be told than you realize. If someone would have asked me, Rick, how many episodes of this show have you, 120 this and 25 that and 40 this and 5 here and then Broadway and 6 shows and on and on and on. I cannot believe all the things I've written. And I never considered myself a writer till maybe recently. It's just something that was one of the things I did. You have time and you have writing stories and you have all that, and that needs to be told. And if you tuned in for this on writing, that's what I'd like to do. What you choose to, now I got a question here. It says, yes, a key point saying is right in the beginning. So basically what you, this is from Hector Rodriguez. Hope I'm saying this right. A key point for you in the beginning. So basically what you choose to write about is far more important than any decision you make how to write it. Yes, I'll tell you why. That story becomes so important, it compels you. It, you know, nothing worse as a professional writer when you have to write and you have no inspiration, but you still write. You understand the process. Well, we'll get you to that inspiration. So you start working, and eventually you'll get there and you can hone it and all that stuff. Now, if you're not a professional writer, you're just starting out, then that story, because every single professional writer you have ever met started their career with a story they wanted to tell. It was important enough that they speak it. It was important enough they had to write it down. It was important enough they had to rewrite it. It was important enough they had to show no one. It was important enough they had to get produced. It was important enough they had to be filmed. And important enough, all those things made it a story that needed to be told. So when I say that, you have those stories. You know, the intent is to brainstorm as much as possible. The intent is the beginning of your writing process is to, first of all, take in things. I had a famous director once tell me, sometimes you have to watch a spider build a web. watch a spider. This is one, Hector, he was an amazing director. Did all Eugene Neal's work on TV, and I mean on way. I had a chance to work with him. I'm trying to remember his name. He's a Panamanian director, is very famous. I don't have time to look it up right now, but he told me that. And when I heard it at 20 odd years old, or 25, out of ACT, a master's program, I said, that guy's not, he's crazy. That's ridiculous. Spiderweb, who has time for that? On and on and on. And then I realized, his name was Quintero. I realized what he was saying was, your time, daydream. Think about that. Part of the process of writing is to actually daydream. Part of the technique of writing is to actually take a moment of time, watch a spider build a web, go to the ocean, check that. You have to start bringing stuff into your life to be creative. You have to, and I just did a Latino Thought Makers before coming to this class. It was a hacking disaster, but we put it up, and I did another one with Eddie just like a minute afterwards. It's on my Latino Thought Makers page. But that's life. That is life. That's what this is all about. Life. It's not a rehearsal. It's life. And when you're a writer, you tell your story and you say, this is my life. And everything I've ever written, first of all, was true. I've always made a fact, and like people can look at some of my writing and go, oh, well, that's stereotypical. And I say, no, it's actually typical. It actually happened exactly like that. There's nothing character ever written that's not based on someone I know or an incident or whatever. That's really the truth. And so I would say this, yes, look at your writing, bring in what you're thinking about, dream about it, ask your mind. So literally say in bed, what am I going to write about? In the morning, write those words down. Is the first lesson and the first work you need to do. So tonight, when this is all said and done, so we need to talk about what I want to write about. What am I thinking about? Tell your mind that. Go to bed, your mind's going to come up with all sorts of great, amazing things, or absolutely nothing. And it's okay. It's okay. Writing's a lot like gold mining. You got to sit there and go, of a ton of earth, I might get 12 ounces of gold. I might get 1 ounce. I might get a half an ounce. I might get a gram. And I can sit and figure I need to pull a ton of earth to sift through it to find that golden ore. And that's what happens. You're going to sift through a lot of material and get used to it. You ask yourself, what am I waiting for? If anything this virus has taught me in terms of life and everything else, of being quarantined and all the rest, along with everyone in this world, is that it all can be taken away. It all can end. As many of you know that have known me before, I was in a coma a few years ago, and I had 2 brain surgeries afterwards. And I was a number 3 in the Glasgow coma scale, which it starts at 3, 4, it goes up. So basically I was dead. And I thought, why did I come back alive? I've known people that were worse off than me or are better off than me and survived. Why did I come back? And I was racked with that for a long time. It's almost survivor guilt and wondering, oh, okay, what have I done? But I realized there must be a reason for that. If anything, when I did my show, the greatest moment that ever happened to me, and I don't tell many people about this, I was at Sardi's after, and I was at Sardi's, and a busboy came up to me, and he said, he's looking at me, and he didn't know whether to talk to me or not, and I went to immediately, oh my God, I didn't tip him well, and maybe I, didn't do something, he's upset, or what's going on, and I was worried that I somehow offended him, being a nice Californian. And he walks up to me and he says, excuse me, you gave me free tickets to play. And I saw it. And you give me a voice who has no voice. thank you. Probably the most beautiful, poetic words someone had ever said to me. You give me a voice for me who has no voice. Well, you're giving a voice to people that don't have a voice. And the minute you write, you're giving a voice to yourself. So explore, people say, how does your social isolation affect your writing, Victor? It makes it better. I took a walk today, with my mask on and social distancing, and I watched a bird. Beautiful. Just, I hadn't seen it before for some reason. This bird I thought was so beautiful. It was just, ruffling its feathers in the dirt, and it was just singing, and it was alive. And I looked at that and I said, how many times have I not noticed that? What's great about this is when we're in isolation, we're seeing things we haven't seen before. We're noticing things we haven't noticed before. Use this time, because if everything happens for a reason and we're put into an isolation, there must be a reason for it. And that's what writers figure out. Why? Why is this happening? What's happened to the world more than anything is it's been turned upside down. We have politicians who joke. I'm just joking, just a joke, joking. And comedians who can't joke because either they're scared of political repercussions or any other repercussions. So the comedians aren't joking and the politicians are joking. Two different groups. It should be reversed. The comedians are supposed to joke. Comedians are supposed to all into a point where we look at ourselves and we say, is there another way? Is there another way? And this is what writers do. Is there another way to watch this? Is another way to think about this? Is another way? Because you have to be open to hear a voice that will lead you to the right way. You can explore the many different paths any idea will take you. Any idea. And I think there was a band, I think it was the Who, who actually said this, and they said that we get together and we say, this is a stupid idea. You got to try this. And every time, once in a while, it's a great idea. And so what happens is that idea may get worked upon, but that's the spirit of a child is also mixed in with the spirit of an artist. I remember doing a show at La Jolla Playhouse. It was Time Magazine's 10 Best Production of the Year. It was a great show. And I remember the director, Robert Woodruff, one of the great directors, and I was with leads in with Tony Plana. And one day he turns to me and goes, Rick, you're a stand-up comedian, aren't you? Stand-up at that time. Years later I would. But I hadn't done stand-up. But he thought I was a stand-up comedian. And he East Coast, because I kind of talk fast and all that. And so he said, why don't you do stand-up before the show? And then we'll kind of bring your microphone up and they'll start to hear you actually do the show. Right when they hear you're beginning your stand, we'll cut to the play. And I said, that's what you want? It's going to be a stupid idea. We got to do it. He said, we got to be a stupid idea that we're going to try. Part of being a writer is scared of stupid ideas. Being a writer is, in some ways, allowing yourself to fail. So that's what it's doing. It's saying, go ahead and fail. Go ahead and fail. It's how, if you think of yourself in life, and this is philosophical, but that's part of writing. Everyone here listening to me, I guarantee you most likely can speak. They had to learn to speak. They had to learn each word. They had to learn as a child to be an idiot and say truck or mispronounce it like my kid did. And you'd add F to the truck sound. And there was a whole interesting conversation with him as a child. Remember it. You couldn't say truck. He would have to put F. So it'd be F with the CK. But I went there and I sat there. I put that actually in a show of mine one time. Because I'm taking from my life. That's what we do. We take from our lives and we put them out there. And that's opening yourself up and that's being honest. So it's saying, listen to me. This is who I am. A question just came in and said, what are good exercises to do when you have writer's block? Good question. That's probably the most question most writers get and everyone gets. First of all, professional writers don't have writer's block. We're not allowed to. A professional writer is not allowed writer's block because you have a timeline. You have a time. I just finished a screenplay. They said you have 6 weeks. What? What? Yeah, 6 weeks. The time said you have to do that. Now, if I'm saying you're building a house and I say you have 100 days, you'll say, okay, 100 days is all we got. Okay, I'll see if I can do it. All right, I'll take the job and doing it. That's what a writer got. I agreed to the terms which you've offered me. That's part of the session. Now, when you say writer's block, what a professional writer does many times, and they have to write. So they don't have the use of writer's block. It's a different mentality. So in other words, if I'm a soldier and someone says the cavalry's not coming, you have to fight, I will fight differently than if someone told me the cavalry's going to come any moment. Just relax, they'll be here. Keep waiting for the cavalry. Maybe we should all pray for the cavalry. Okay, we're all going to pray for the cavalry right now. Let's hold hands. Cavalry's going to be coming. It's not active. Writing is when you sit there and say, as a writer, you might go, that you might sit there and say this, I'm going to start to write, because it's a process. You go mind to hand, mind to hands, writing, words, all that stuff. If you force yourself to do that, you have to understand it's not going to be perfect material. It's not. Most jokes I do, I try out on my family for months, which will tell you is a horrible experience. But I'll try them out and they'll go, oh, that joke again. They know them. I learned that from just being on Living Color as a kid. I remember Jim Carrey used to come in my office every day and try out a joke and it would drive me up the wall. But yeah, it's great, man. It's funny. And he's like, get on the gym train. Oh my God. And jokes. But years later, I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, I saw that joke used in the film. Oh, I saw him use that material in the stand-up. Oh, I saw. So a stand-up comic and people constantly are trying to rev up the engine and tell jokes and tell stories, and some are bad and some are good. I'm getting so much trouble. But we're joking. We're kidding around. We're bringing up a point of view that maybe no one has heard before, and we're enjoying that. And we're trying it out. You know, we're trying. Remember, it was Austin Powers. His wife said in an interview, oh my God, he kept doing that character. Oh, bye, you know, behave, all that stuff. He was playing the character with his wife for months and eventually became a character he created. So a lot of times when it talks about an exercise for writer's block, I always tell people, sit down, put on some music, have a glass of wine, do whatever, relax, and don't worry about writing. If you do that, and with your hand or typing, type a few words, type a sentence. Sometimes you can do a magazine and pull out a picture of a magazine, a character. I did that. An actress in a show asked me, she said, you haven't written me a monologue, and where's my monologue? And I said, well, you've been performing these monologues, great. I want a new monologue. And she was important in the show, and I didn't want to lose her. I said, all right, I'll write you a monologue. So what I did is I opened a magazine and I looked at these pictures, and there was a magazine, a picture of a woman, and it said, in Cuba is no life. There is no life in Cuba. In Cuba, there is no life. And it said Cuban prostitute. I thought, wow. I started looking deeper into her story, and I found out in the story that she was actually educated, like a master's degree. And for her to leave this world that she was unhappy with, she actually started selling herself to tourists. And so that became a monologue that actually we did on Broadway. And it was beautiful. It was called Cuba Libre. It was a Cuban prostitute. And I was like, I don't want to write a Latino character. Why would I do that? But it was based on truth. It was a line. I did that monologue. The actress did it in Cuba. I mean, in Miami. Yeah, that Freudian slip, Miami. And people were in tears. People walked up to her afterwards and said, thank you. I've been to Cuba. My family's there. I know the story. Thank you. Thank you for telling me, for getting this story out there. Thank you. That's the power. So you can do this, Victor, and for people that want to know about this, merely, so 2 things you have to do. So if you want to continue the class, first of all, I hope you all continue, because this will be fun. It's good for me to tell these stories, because I need to figure out why I write sometimes. And it's me understand. Nothing teaches you more than actually teaching about what you do. But that's the thing is, one is, before you go to bed tonight, you said, I'm a writer. God bless you. Bro, you know, that's good. And I'm getting things at chat lines. People are saying, first time I've said that, I'm getting phone messages. Thank you for just having me say I'm a writer. As radical as that is, and it's not really radical to me, but to a lot of people, that is radical. You're speaking out your mouth. I am a writer. You know, I am a writer. So when you do that, that's the first. Second, dealing with the writer's block question. Take out a magazine, cut out some random pictures, throw them on the ground, put a line underneath them. Look at the picture, look at the line, and start writing the first words that come out of your mouth. Thirdly, do not criticize yourself. Don't you criticize yourself. The truth is, if you're a good writer, you're going to be very critical of yourself. Good writers are racked with criticism, racked with self, you know. Bad writers think they're great writers. That is a rule. Bad writers think they're brilliant writers. Good writers think they're horrible on the whole. Most writers, and this is the bios I've read to everything else, constantly look at their work and go, no. You know why? Because a real writer, a real artist sees the reality that should be. The real artists, like the Michelangelos and the Da Vinci's, see the Pieta in the marble. They see on the painting the Mona Lisa. They see that, and then they, with their skill and ability, recreate that the best they can. And they know it is never as good as what God has created. It's never as good as this. That's why we're in this world of you know, selfies and Instagrams. It's never the same as sitting in that room and when you take a selfie of a great meal and you're smelling the flavors and you know how it's going to taste, how good the wine is and all that stuff. You can't recreate that. How many times you watch a cooking show and someone goes, oh, you got to smell this. This is amazing. And of course you can't. They're doing that. That's what the writer is. You're recreating it for someone, you're showing it. So that's the thing I have for writer's block. Someone asked me a question here. Someone raised their hand. What is this? Yvonne Hanks, I am a writer. Yes, you are. Sheila Savage, I have the magazine a photo idea for inspiration. Yeah, it's basically it, is that when you put music on, you're having a counterpoint. You go, da, da, this is All Men Shall Be Free. I think it's Beethoven's Ninth. Da, 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 da. You're hearing that. If that doesn't inspire you, you're brain dead. Of course it's going to inspire you. Now you're writing a story, you're seeing a vision. Okay, I'm imagining this. My father used to hear a song that was, I forget what it was. It was like, da, 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 da. I forget the name of that. But the whole point, he says, I imagine armies meeting on a field, coming in the field together with that music. Music heightens your senses and seeing images. It's the counterpoint. It's all that. It's the playing after. So if you have, when we've done this through TV and film, how many times they score a movie, you had the score, you're in tears. You know, without the score, you're not crying so much. You know, these are additions. We're trying to recreate that in words as a writer, to involve that person, to understand it how you see the story. We all see the story differently. When I look at kids in cages, I'm shocked, I'm bothered, I'm hurt. When I see homeless people, I'm depressed, I'm angry of their situation. I look at our own compassion, I wonder. All those things happen by a visual. Now add music to that visual. Now add words to the visual. And you see it's layering, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger to becomes a unique creature of its own device. I didn't mean to get so emotional there, but after that. Does anyone have a question right now? Another question? Do you recommend writing pencil or paper or the computer? I would tell you this, whatever makes you feel most comfortable. That's it. Because in the end, you know, there's programs where you can actually record yourself and it'll dictate your words. There's a lot of things like that. Those are just, they're great things to have. It's just one less excuse of why you're not writing. Because you go, wait a minute, there's nothing stopping you. You go, I don't know how to type. Okay, well, there's an actual, you can speak into it and it will type what your words are. There is no excuse. Yeah, thank you, Roberta Martinez. Okay, so I would say choose whatever you want to choose to write on, pen or pencil or computer. All it is write. That's the fourth thing I'll give you guys tonight, is say write constantly, write all the time. It's okay to write. How many times do you spend an hour on Facebook, for God's sake? I mean, I think if anything, we're all looking at ourselves going, look at your phone, spend on your phone. And think of the idea of what a phone is. It's a miracle. That phone that you have in your hand can literally get you to the moon. That the computer ability of that phone in your hand is the same amount of computer that got men in the moon, men on outer space, because that's what it is. So I look at my phone and I'll go over 45 minutes on some chat line or whatever it was, some silliness. I wonder, how did I get it? Times we got it in an argument on Facebook, for God's sakes, with someone, waste of time. Right. Yes, you can dictate the story and put it on paper. That's what it takes. Do it. Do you listen to different music depending on the pacing and the energy of the scene when you're trying to create? Yes, different music sends me in different directions. That's why I like it. You shared about writing about life story experiences, which is the same as writing fiction. Patricia, yes. People go, who could think that up? Oh my God, who would come up with that? They have. If I sat there and I remember as a child reading Dune, I'm like, oh, I've been transported to this planet where earthworms eat people and cities. Oh my Lord, who can think that up? You can. You can think it up. We have such an immense capacity to create. We have no idea. So you can think it up. Is this the same for writing fiction? Yes, exactly the same. Because fiction is just merely saying it's your imagination creates it as a reality. If I sat there and said science fiction, H.G. Wells, okay, his mind, submarine creature attacking 20,000 leagues of the sea. Did he even know the ending of the story? Probably not. He started writing a story. It inspired him. Now, what do I prefer to use to write? For me, I use pen a lot. I like the physical feeling of a pen. And I also like old style type. I don't use one. I should get one. I've always wanted to. Just I love that feeling. So whatever is, yes, is Elizabeth. Facebook is the black hole we all get sucked into. You're absolutely right, because there's little bots that actually get you to do that. Says, what do you use to remember good stories or dialogue when you're out about? Do you carry a notepad, email yourself a note? Your phone. I do all the time. I have so many notes on my phone. It's ridiculous. So say like, I write down my goals. What are my goals? Oh, I wrote down, I'm looking, solve systems of equations and inequality, find the slope of a line, why to write it. I'm taking an algebra class. So now I'm studying algebra. I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. It's a new thing. I write things like at night, I'll wake up and I'll go, oh, that's an interesting idea. And I'll write it down. So do that. So put it on your phone. That's what just as a note app on your phone, put it in, or I find it evasive. Yesterday I was at a McDonald's and there was two homeless guys waiting in the car line to order because they didn't have a car. And I took a picture and I tried to help them. And I wouldn't necessarily, tell them your picture. Someone actually wrote in Facebook, is that poverty porn or something like that? Horrible idea. But I sat there and I wanted to remember that for me. That's just an image I need to see to remind me. So, okay, you share. Okay, what are helpful elements to include in an outline? An outline is the beginning of a map. So let's talk about outline for a second. Outline is a map. So I can sit there and say, in the fact, this is what's going to happen. And you write out your outline. It is a map to help you in this journey. It is not a rule book. You understand the difference? You know, a map will tell you, okay, the topographical mountains are here and the ocean's here, and it's a good. I can choose what to do on the map or where to go and things like that. But you know, so there is a reality to it and all that. But I'm still choosing where I'm going. So when you have your outline, write out your outline. You may fix the outline later on. That's another thing people don't like to know. I have the outline and it says this and this. Yes, most likely it's true, but maybe when you got to this point, you didn't realize this actor is going to bring this to it. A lot of times when I do readings of scripts of mine or plays, I listen to the mistakes actors make because I don't think they're mistakes. If an actor takes a line of mine, say that old ghetto line, you know, do some a bitch because I'm pregnant, all that what I heard, there might be an actress that changes it. She may be sad. She may do something different. She's going to change with her voice the interpretation because it's a collaborative art. An actor adds this, the director adds this, the producer adds this. All these people add everything, and that's how it's done. And so, I would say the helpful outline to include in the outline is for two things. This is a concept that's important for you guys to hear. Writers, there's two kind of writers. Writers that write to be read and writers who write to be performed. There is a difference. A writer that's meant to be performed may have a lot of dialogue and action lines about what the character is going through. The line is, I hate you, I'll kill you. I don't need to write, he angrily says, I hate you, I'll kill you. The character knows this is I'm gonna hear it. So sometimes you don't need that. So in an outline, you have to wonder, is it being written to be read? So a producer may look at it and go, read the outline. I see what you're going at, that's that. And the second one is the outline is to be for keywords for you. So if it says 20 zombies attack out of nowhere, okay, your mind may go, okay, the way I've seen the scene is gonna be this, and this is happening here, and you have all the things, you already know it. That was just to tell you what you're gonna do. Now, if a producer reads it, goes, okay, 20 zombies attack, well, what does that mean? That, you know, at night, is it your daytime? Because someone has to break down your script and go, okay, exterior night, city school district main headquarters. Outside, we see 20 zombies out. You know, cut to upper story, their point of view, looking at the people down below. Oh my God, they're surrounding us. We'll never get out of here. Hey, we're gonna make it, okay? You know, that's basically a scene. You're doing that, you're creating that. So those may be, your outline is to help you or to help a producer or to have people look at it. Either way, it's to tell you, help you get the landmarks for writing a good script. It's the map that you put your story on. Okay, I'm making a right here, I'm making a left here, I'm going 50 yards here, I'm doing this. That's the map. That's your outline. That's your basic structure. Okay, in this industry, I've experienced a lack of Latino writers. Yes, more so than I can ever imagine. I have experienced many times very few Latino writers on a show that's Latino, or as particularly, or one Latino. And they go, we did it, we got the one our Latina, we got it, we're shut it down. That's kind of the problem I run into and see. It's too bad. But yeah, it's a problem. Also say this, and this may be controversial to say, Latinos hire more writers when you have that opportunity. It's very easy just to say, I want an extra writer on the set. My first job was in Living Color, and Keenan Ivory Wayans insisted on hiring African writers. Insisted. Said, we need more brothers and sisters here. This is all we're doing. I slipped in the crack because he thought it was very funny, and he looked at me, writer, he didn't think of the ethnic part. Later on it came up, or certain things he didn't even know. He just knew I was funny. So a lot of times, yeah, you are the only Latino there, or it's very, very rare, and it's unfortunate because simply do this. On each show I worked on, we had a lot, mostly, almost the majority were Latino women and also gay. So Carlos Portugal did a really good job about meeting a lot of people. And that's simple. It comes from either the network or it comes from the producer saying, I want this person on the show. Okay. Is there a truth to what is said to write at least 500 minimum words a day? Probably already writing 500 minimum words a day, you're not realizing. The difference is no one's told you. How many times have you been on a Facebook or been texting people or you're writing a lot of words? So the difference is 500, if you sit there and go, well, I need to write 500 minimum words. If you use the technique, you go, okay, I have a magazine picture and I'm going to write a bunch of words and continually writing out of stream of consciousness, then a writer's journey. It's part of just getting used to not stopping you, getting used to you saying no. This is the killer for every writer. This is important to realize. No. And that comes from the writer. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, this isn't good. Let me wait to do this until I have the perfect answer. Don't wait for perfection. Perfection is the 10th rewrite of the piece of literature. That's perfection. Until then, get it out. You say what you want to say. Trust your instinct. If it's true, write it down. You may get in trouble with that, but as long as it's true, there's nothing I've ever seen as a writer that is not true, or a character believes is true, or something. Truth is the base of all writing. Outlines are supposed to be organic. Yeah, they're supposed to be. Every writing is supposed to be organic in the beginning. Eventually, it's a rewrite. Even the best outline that you can write and go, okay, it's organic, sure. Now someone comes in and goes, that second act isn't really clear. What's going on there? I didn't get it. And here's another thing I'll tell you guys. If someone has a question about your writing, never assume they're an idiot and they're wrong. You have not explained it correctly. You have not made it easy enough for them to understand. Writing, unfortunately, begins and ends with the writer. So a lot of times, if someone doesn't, I will go back and say, let me try to work on this and let me figure where I can clean this up to make you understand it. Because, I used to do the thing where I go, oh, what an idiot. They don't see this. Come on, they're ridiculous. And then eventually, as I got older and thought about it, I said, maybe it's my fault. So make it your fault at first, but do not say no. Don't stop the no. Don't go, no, I'm not going to, it's not going to be ready till it's perfect. Do not be a perfectionist in the beginning of your artistic career. In the beginning of your artistic project, do not be, it's a heart thing. Rewrites are the perfection. How do you go from book to script? Well, that's even the easiest. You can sit and look at that and go, book to script is pretty easy. It's just, let me give you the idea, the most easy idea most people don't realize, because, I've always coached a lot of actors and stuff like that. They asked an actor one time, or a director, they said, what's the difference between film acting and stage acting? And what is the close-up? I'll let it in. The close-up. You see, on stage, I can talk. I can whisper. The audience behind the fourth wall knows I'm talking, whispering. They're not hearing it. The close-up puts the camera here. This is the close-up. I'm coming in, it's moving in. You see, close-up. Stage, very simple. So when it comes to taking a script and turning into a book, it's basically almost break the book into an outline first and saying, okay, this is the beginning of the script. This is what happens here. Taking the script and pulling out and making the outline. Then doing the script again from the outline to a screenwriting format. That's normally how you do it. Things do you give after the 6 weeks? Should we set certain goals? Okay, what guarantees? After 6 weeks. Absolutely nothing. I can't guarantee anything. You need to guarantee it. You need to say in 6 weeks' time, if you're going to be with me for 6 weeks and we're talking about things like that, and you can get to know me, all for free, because I really want to give back. I would say to you, what do you want in 6 weeks? And this is what you have to do, everyone in this talking. In 6 weeks' time, do I want to have an outline for a screenplay? In 6 weeks' time, outline for a half hour? In 6 weeks' time, am I going to have a better idea of dialogue? in 6 weeks' time, because you have those goals before you start the class. What do I want? And I want you all have my email, mrricknajera@gmail.com, MrRickNajera@gmail.com. My name, Mr. Najera, no periods, @gmail.com. I'm the easiest guy to find, really, because I have such a strange last name. So Mr. Rick Najera @gmail. So you can always send email. You know, if you're committing to this class, I'm committing to you. So just say, hey, I have a question, or this is what I was thinking, or all that sort of thing to spark this. Because my job, and a lot of times you guys can chat me and ask questions and stuff like that, is my job is to tell you what I know in a way you can understand it, that you can read that knowledge and reinterpret it and use it for your writing to tell your story. You know, in the end, you are the artist. In the end, this is your, I can merely tell you things I did, and that helps. But it is. So let me answer a few questions, and then is everyone having a good time? Because yeah, this is the first time just talking purely from the heart. Okay, I'm looking at your. Okay.
You want to unmute anybody?
Yeah. Does anyone want to raise their hand and I'll unmute? Please don't hack me. Okay. This class
You got Tony Quintero and Marisha who want to ask questions.
Tony, you have a question? Okay, Tony, this is the question and answer, guys, part.
You have to unmute them, I believe.
Yes. Okay, where am I? This is me muting. Okay, participants.
Let me see if I can do this.
1 second. And you can do it?
You got to give me back my host. Reclaim my host. Hang on. Let me grab that.
Reclaim your host?
Let's see. Okay, let's go to Tony.
And actually, Tony, question.
And then Marisha.
Mute myself. There we go. Can you hear me?
Tony, I can hear you. You have a question?
Yeah. I just, what do you think of writing a script without having a book to base it on?
An outline?
Yeah. I mean, just going straight to a script.
Well, I mean, in the end, the writer, you're always torn between, do I write a script or do I write a book? It really is that. Because I actually, when I first started out and came as an actor to Hollywood, my roommate, writer, very nerdy writer guy, and he wrote, I think it was Lethal Weapon or movies. It became a big hit. He actually left that and started writing books because writing a great screenplay that he never saw. So he started writing books. So there is, that question always for a writer. Do I write it as a book or do I write it? When you write an outline, you may look, oh, this would be better as fiction. I would love to see this. Like, say I wanted to write a story and I was thinking about it. This recently happened. I was torn between going, do I write this as a book or do I write it as a film? It's a big film. So I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to have a hard time getting this produced. And a lot of them, I have had films which are great, all that stuff. But sometimes as a producer, I know that's going to be expensive and who are you going to get for the lead and 1,000 other things you go through. So I'm thinking, why do I do it as a book? I would love to write it as a book. In my reason for a book. For every writer, it's different. I would say a book you always have. You can sit there and go to a person and say, read my book. I have a book. Read my book. And you got the book down. But if you say, here's a screenplay, people to read my screenplays all the time, and I love it. But I feel like sometimes I'm pulling teeth getting someone to read a screenplay. If I did a play as a book, they would read that. You'd see them from a pool or on the beach reading the book. So that's as the artist, you want your work seen, and sometimes it can be seen faster as a book than and that's the reasoning.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Next. Oh, cool. Thanks, Tony. Marisha, do you have a question?
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Hey, Marisha. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Yes, so I I don't put this lightly when I say it, but I truly suffer and struggle with stopping all the ideas from flowing. It's just it happens when I'm asleep, when I'm awake, when I'm doing other things. It's like a huge distraction. And I constantly come up with endless alternative endings or alternatives to anything, multiple options for a character to experience. So at what point do you stop letting all of that chatter take place and you really start to firmly put down dialogue and plot details and truly kind of commit to them?
You know, that's a question because it sounds to me you have ADHD.
And you know what? I actually
Basically,
don't, but but it's wild. I mean,
kind
it's absolutely wild.
of do. No, it's not a problem because that's a bonus. That's part of your skill set. That's a good thing. I always tell people use what people are going to use and create it as your strength. You know, it's like as a Latino, when I first to Hollywood, people would use my ethnicity and you can't play this and all that stuff. And I looked at it and I said, strength. I have a lot of stories that no one's ever heard before as being a Latino because so many haven't heard these. Strength.
Right.
So if you say, I see 1,000 endings and I get all these ideas and stuff like that, that is to me a strength. So one, applaud yourself for doing that. Eventually, happens, you just have to figure out how to say, once you have your outline and you really feel this outline works, do what your mental exercise is. Well, what if this character does that? What if the character does that? What if the character cheated on her? What if she cheated on him? What if the brother, it comes around with a little, goatee and stuff like that, with a Southern accent. Because I was always nice to do Southern accents for some reason. But you're going to do that a lot. Eventually, wear your mind out. Say, I've thought of everything on this character. The truth, this feels best. And go with that. And keep doing it again and again and again. It's like I told you was taking algebra. Keep doing the problem. Simplify, 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 simplify. Keep simplifying. So you keep bringing it down to a equation you can do. That's good. You have all that ability, all that great storytelling. That's great. How wonderful. You've got that. So applaud it, see it as a strength, and now distill. The great chefs will tell you, they put a stock on the say if I'm stock, I'm adding mirepoix, celery, all these things, fish, bones, shell, and I'm letting it simmer and simmer and simmer till all the essence is there. You taste, and it is beautiful. It's so good. That's what writing, same as acting, same as chefing. It's the act of creation. That's doing. So that's good. Anyone else have a question? Does that answer your question, Marisha?
It does. I have not even arrived at the distilled point yet, but I will keep chugging away until hopefully I can distill. Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I think what's going to happen is it's like a child with a toy. You'll get tired of the toy. I've done this a million ways. It goes, this is, I want to write it. I want to hand it to another person. I want them to read and see if they got what I got out of the first draft. Gotcha. And then you'll get their notes, another person. It's a layering. It's continual layering until, people have helped me on my script. You always give your scripts away for people to read. I go, yeah, because everyone who reads my script is my teacher. Then I'll go, didn't you see that? No, I didn't see that. Oh, shoot, did I not set that? Did you not see what I saw? And that's the artist answering their question, what they want to know. So your audience brings you more and more what your story is. And so involve people in that story. I think what you're doing is more of an excuse not to commit to the story. I'm using some bad psychology here, maybe, but I feel like I'm doing a psychology show right now. I would say this: you want to write the story. You may be telling think of 1,000 things to avoid telling the story. That's what we do as writers. We look for excuses not to write. You know, this is the environment. I need an environment I can feel I can write in. Okay, wait, I don't have the story. I need the, it's all stop you. Remember I used the analogy about is the cavalry coming?
Mhm.
If you're a writer and go, the cavalry coming, I'm the cavalry, I'm it. You will eventually stop and you'll go, gotta tell a story. But good you're using that. It's really good. Okay, so
Thank you.
Ernesto Quintero's was a structure. Look, the next class we do, I'm gonna talk about monologue. The next class after that, I'm gonna talk about sketch or scene. Next class after that, I'm gonna talk about the sitcom structure. Then I'm talking about what I'm trying to do is figure out, like I had a sitcom I wanted that I just wrote, a pilot I just finished, another pilot, 1 hour and a half hour, and they were good. And I was supposed to have a meeting today at Netflix. Meeting was scheduled a month ago. I didn't have it today. And the same thing happened on Amazon. So I was actually going to use some of my work and use it to show you guys. But my manager was like, you can't show that. That's a script you're trying to sell. You can't let that out. So I just had to figure out what script to use an example. But we'll go over those things. So basically, the 6 weeks is basically going over things, demystify. I gave everyone tonight a homework. If you heard it, you know, and I can go back and say it. I said, go to bed, think of an idea what you want to write about, and wonder what you're going to write about. And when the first thing you wake up in the morning, write something down after you woke up. That's it. Secondly, looking for an idea, cut up a magazine, take out pictures, write questions in the back. You know, look at the character. If I look at a character, if I say, you know, if I have a picture of someone, I go, I'm imagining what that person would say. It's almost like early mask work that I theater. I take a mask, look at it, put it on, and become the character. This is different as a writer. You're taking a picture, an event, and you're turning around and you're writing the words of what you would imagine this person saying or talking about. You're actually giving an improv to a picture you've seen. And that's actually an improv exercise where people go stop in a position. Someone will come in, get in the position, and say the line, what they think you were going to say. If your hand's up like this, someone goes, stop. They get in your place and go, Mr. Johnson, why are you and your wife leaving each other? This man who keeps coming around. Okay, I've got some sort of story building here. That's improv. So the structure of the 6 weeks will be, you know, basically I'm going to go over, you know, next we'll deal with monologue and sketch, talk about that. And then we'll start to build. We'll start to build writing, add that stuff. I want to do it in a nice way, but if you're busy, at Thursdays at 7, understand. But if you're not busy and if you're pandemic and you're avoiding all that and you're staying in, why not work on a skill? You're in charge of your success. You will get out of this class whatever you put into it. Okay, so I think we're no more questions. And anyone have a question? Someone else raise their hand?
Yeah.
Someone else? Yeah, Jay?
Yeah. For some reason, I got my days mixed up. I mean, how could you do that? And can we go back and listen to this? Because it says it's recording. I don't not
yeah,
that.
I believe Rosie will be able to do that. And yeah, you can always look at this and listen to it and do whatever. Actually, you know, as weird as I when it all hit me, I was like, what am I doing? People have questions, are hurting. You know, let's do something. Let's get people involved in life, and that's what writing is.
There's one more question, Rick. Sure. Michael has a question.
Michael.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Hey, Michael. Good.
Thank you for doing this. This is it's a real godsend to those of us who find that we do have time and want to be creative, but are also wanting to get out of the reality that we all find ourselves in. So my question is this: as someone who knows words, but who really hasn't taken the creative writing to the level that I could have before, I find this as a great opportunity. And I like practical almost homework assignments. So by the time that we come back next time, what are things we can do other than like write every day? What are some examples that you would give to new writers to help them sort of prime the pump, so to speak? Like, is it, you gave an assignment about looking at a magazine picture and writing whatever comes to our mind. Are there others that we could do every day? I mean, I'm told from having read other books on this, you know, to block off a certain time, preferably in the very early part of the morning when you wake up, to just let your mind just dump, almost like what am I thinking of? The Artist's Way, and the morning page.
Actually, I've never read The Artist's Way. I feel horrible. I've never read that. But, you know, I think we all, you know, the writer's way, everyone's saying the same thing, I agree. You just have to wait for the right person to tell it to you for you to listen to it. I think Danny Trejo told me that. Danny Trejo would talk to colleges and they would listen to him because he served time in Pelican Bay. He said, listen, they know I served time. And it is something about the speaking that you have to establish the credibility of the person when you tell a speech. That goes back to Socrates and Greek theories on speak. Make the speaker, you know, credible. So the only thing I can say to a writer is, you know you, whether you know it or not, you know you. So in this assignment of just thinking before you go to bed, active, it's almost a prayer. You know, what am I going to think about? I want to write something. Tell me what to write. Ask God to tell you what to write. I know it sounds crazy. God, whatever you feel, there's a higher power. Yourself, your subconscious, anything you want to say. And say, what am I, give me something to write about. I wonder, give me something to write. Whatever word you use. When you wake up in the morning, put a pencil and pad next to you, or have home where you can put in your quick note and write about whatever you said. That's it. Just write about it. That's your first one. Secondly, don't stop yourself. Just write. Okay, you did it. Your assignment. Next, I'm going to give you guys, I'm probably going to, once we get everyone's email, so please email me, everyone is on this, because I'll email you back. I'll email you an actual script of something I did. And I'll give you the link to it. You can actually see it. And we'll talk about that because it's 11 minutes short that I did for Jennifer Lopez's company. And it's about a bunch of guards waiting at a guard gate in Hollywood. Pretty simple. Look at that. We'll talk about it. So there's a lot of things I'll show you that I've either written or liked, and we'll speak about it. Next week, we'll deal with the monologue because I'm trying to get people to understand the steps to writing. So if I said at the beginning, I talked about how, you know, a Shakespearean actor is speaking to the crowd, to God, to his muse, to himself, all these things. It's a dialogue. A monologue is a dialogue. A dialogue is a scene. A scene is another scene, you know, and it goes on and on. That's basically leads to beginning, middle, and an end. That's writing. What you do in between, what you say in between, how you say it is the degree of how great a writer you will be. And understand, most great writers never think they're great writers. So if you think you're horrible, you're in company. If you think you're great, I kind of wonder, because I write all the time. It is hard. Anyone tells you, oh, I love writing. It's so fun. I'm just not that guy. I'm never that guy. So that would be your two things. You come back with what you wrote, because we'll discuss it. And next thing is your thing of going, have your, I don't know if you're married, roommate, whatever it is, take magazines and cut a bunch of pictures. And on the back of the picture of the magazine, write the dialogue that they saw. Not you, they. So if you take a picture of, say, a magazine, and I'll show you an example. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. Here's a car. At the back of this, I would write, woohoo, we're out of here. That's it. Woohoo, out of here. Have that person do that for you. And then now you look at the car. I'm looking at a car and I'm saying inside the car. The windows are tinted, so I don't know who's in it. But now I've been given piece of information. Ooh, we're out of here. There's a lot I can do with that. Woohoo, we're out of here. All right, I'm off to Mexico. This is great. Oh, you know, whatever happened, I'm adding a different. You're allowing yourself to hear the story that's being told. In other words, I'm getting you out of your pre-planned thinking of how to write. Writing should be a happy accident that happens. Okay, anyone else?
Oh,
Yes,
Marisha had a,
email@gmail.com. You got it.
Oh no,
Marisha,
that
another
was
one?
it was no, it was the same one. It's
Okay.
already
Oh,
been
okay.
answered. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Rosie.
Okay. So I hope you all come back next week. We'll send us the emails so that way we can make sure whether we choose Zoom or another thing. We're trying to figure this out.
well, Zoom
Believe me,
seemed to
and,
work with this
no more
one.
hacking.
Did you feel
Yeah,
like
this probably
Zoom?
yeah, I like this one for this. I think the other ones, so many people are on, and you know, unfortunately, people that are with their time off, computer ability, instead of figuring out how to learn, what to do, what to add, they actually wanted a porn on a Zoom conference call, which to me was, you know, pretty low. But like I said, that's reality. That's the truth. That's what we saw. Now, if you're writing a scene about a conference call with someone that's important and you're and someone hacks it, you didn't see this coming. Wow, I know all the emotions behind that. I'm going, oh my God, stop that! What's going on? All the things, and actually Eddie too. I talked to him afterwards. He's like, oh man, he goes, that was weird. He joked about it. It's like, you know, it's as an artist, we got to fail, but the objective is there. The objective is to be understood. The objective is to tell people what you see. The objective is to say, look at life. It's beautiful. And on that note, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for doing this. You guys at Mr. Rick Najera @gmail. Send me your questions. We plan on this again. I hope you stick around.
And it's okay for me to release this video to them. So once it downloads,
Yeah.
just send it
Yeah.
to the whole
Okay,
email
good.
list. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks everybody
Okay,
for
thank you
coming.
guys. Good night, everybody. Good night. Bye.